Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kaylee Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur podcast. And I'm joined today by the fabulous and incredible Ceri Brown, who is a confidence coach. And in this episode, we are going to be diving into creating success from the inside out with the Believe method. Ceri, it is such a pleasure to have you here on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kaylee. I'm really excited to be here.
We're going to be diving into a new method that you use to support your incredible clients. And I'm really, really excited to be diving into this today. But before we talk business, confidence, believe, I would love for you to share with our listeners a little bit about your own journey.
Okay, fantastic. So I've been in the business world as a business owner for about 10 years now. My eldest daughter is 10 years old, and after she was born, I thought to myself, there's not really many jobs out there that offer 14 weeks of annual leave every year. So let's look at something that I can do myself so that I can be around to take her to school, pick her up from school, go to sports days and Christmas concerts, and that was really important to me. So I set up my own business. I actually started work as a cake decorator, a cupcake baker. So that was my first sort of step into the business world. And things were going really well over the first few years. I was gaining momentum, gaining lots of customers and followers. On the face of it, everything looked great. I looked like I was really successful. But behind closed doors, I was really anxious. I was living in a state of comparison. I was looking at other bakers and what they were doing, thinking, oh my goodness, they're so much better than me. How can I charge, the figures I should be charging? And I remember thinking at the start of every month, "Oh, this is going to be the month where I'm found out. Everyone's going to know I'm a big fraud and it's all going to come crashing down." So that was really the sort of state of things behind. And I just became more and more aware. In the meantime, I had my second daughter. And I really wanted to be modeling self-belief and confidence to my daughters. It was so important to me that they grew up believing in themselves fully. But what I was modeling was the complete opposite. And I was really becoming more aware of this as they became older. So I started learning about self-development, and it just absolutely blew my mind that you could transform the way that you believe, the way that you think about things. Your limiting beliefs can be transformed. So I immersed myself in learning and podcasts and books and everything. I was just soaking up all the knowledge I possibly could, and I just became obsessed with it. And I knew at that point that if this was helping me, this helped me to transform the way I saw things and felt about myself. So if it was helping me, there must be other women out there, business owners who felt the same. Maybe I could pass my knowledge on to them. Then I decided that this was something I really wanted to do to help other women. So my coaching business was born at the start of 2025, and here we are.
Amazing. What an incredible journey as well. And I love the fact that you've been an entrepreneur in a different business and then you've created and set up a brand new business that you're so passionate about. And I'm really excited to dive into your method today because I know that it has supported a number of fabulous ladies and I know it will support so many more this year and obviously into the future. So I'd like to start with asking you, what inspired you to create the Believe coaching method and what it truly represents?
So, Believe was born from my own lived experience. It's not really a theory-based thing. It's things that I've experienced, and it's the things that I really wish I'd known when I started in the business world as a self-employed person. So, it to me, it represents a return to yourself. So, it's like a way out of self-abandonment. It's building success from who you are, not from who you think you should be. And of course, my biggest inspiration is my daughters. I want them to grow up just having that solid self-belief in themselves, not ever looking outside for external validation, but having that core belief that they are good enough, they're worthy of doing whatever they want and they can achieve whatever they want without just that niggling little those limiting beliefs just holding them back.
No, I love that. And I love the fact that it's again rooted into your why, your purpose, connecting to obviously your children. And I'm there, I'm right there with you, absolutely. I've always wanted to inspire my own daughter to, believe in herself. Because I think that's so
Yeah.
important, isn't it? Again, passing the message on and inspiring them and allowing them to, as I say, to be who they are and be proud of that, but also believe in what they want to achieve. I think that's so important.
Absolutely. And I think it's really difficult in these days with social media because we're thrown all this information about how things should look or how we should behave or how we should perform. But really, everybody's so different. So we need to just embrace our differences and our own uniqueness and just know that it's absolutely fine to be who we are and not pretend to be anybody else.
And I think with that as well, I think you are more successful in whatever you're doing if you are yourself, aren't you? I
Yeah.
think it's so easy, isn't it, to put a mask on? And I definitely did that in my career, my previous career in teaching. I was a people pleaser
Mm.
massively, actually, in my personal life as well. Back in my 20s for sure. And it wasn't until my early 30s that I actually had the realization and wake up call of actually I need to actually just be me.
Mm.
And that's when everything changed for me. And I won't go into my story too much because I'm sure many of our listeners know it, but it is important, isn't it? It's important to be yourself. So this kind of leads on to, this whole concept around belief,
Mm.
self-belief. So what does it really mean in your work? And why is this the foundation for both personal and business transformation?
So yeah, so belief to me, belief means self-trust. So it means internal safety. It means backing yourself even when things feel a bit scary, even when your brain is screaming at you, don't go live on Instagram, don't post that picture, don't do this. It's having your own back and trusting yourself. One thing I'd like to say, it's not about constant positivity, always smiling and always being upbeat. That's not what it's about. It's not about ignoring your worries and your doubts and things, but it's feeling those fears and those worries, and it's trusting yourself even when those are present. Um, I think when we don't have the belief, we outsource our decisions to other people. We ask their opinions about things that we want to do. Certainly for our own business, we ask people who maybe not even in business themselves. We say, "Oh, what do you think I should do about this? I'm not sure about this. Oh, maybe I should do this because so and so else is doing it." And we hesitate and we stall and we self-sabotage. But when we do have that belief, everything, it's like we're laser focused. Everything becomes so much clearer. We're able to set boundaries and we can charge correctly for our worth and our products and services. And also we can allow ourselves to be visible. We're really proud of what we're offering because we know that we're making a difference. And in personal life as well, but both in business and personal life, we become more resilient. We learn that life is going to have its ups and downs, and it's not all going to be plain sailing. But we learn to navigate through that with a sort of a level, rather than waking up thinking, "Oh goodness, this is going terribly wrong," or the opposite, feeling on top of the world. It's more sort of feeling steady about everything.
Yeah, and I think that's so true, isn't it? Again, sort of waking up, trying to feel steady about things, but also, like you mentioned, it's not all going to be roses and sunshine and all of these things. It's not always going to work. It's not always
No.
going to be the most incredible day, and we're going to have, highs, lows, all of the things, literally, like a roller coaster to an extent, because our emotion, our energy, there's so many different aspects of well being human to start with, but then obviously yes, running a business, if you're running a business or fulfilling a dream, a goal, whatever it is. But I think that's a really really good point, that I love your kind of concept around what belief actually means and how that kind of fits into the foundations of the work that you do. And I think this kind of leads on to this concept of, I think we as women, we all want success, of course, but I think so many of us don't fully trust ourselves, do we? We kind of like allow barriers to come up, or past experience or something like those lines. So how does the Believe method then help women to kind of rebuild their self-belief and their confidence?
Yeah, so we use safety as the foundation for everything. Everything in the Believe method is based on the safety. And we'll work together, we'll map out their what I call their self-doubt spiral. So when the self-doubt sort of kicks in, what's the trigger for that? Is it that you've seen something online that's triggered you? What's the thought then that comes into your mind? It could be, oh, I'm not as good as that person. What's the feeling? So you start to feel really worthless. And then what's the behavior? You might start to sort of really start snapping at people that are closer to you. And then the impact, what impact does that have on your business? You start to show up less, you're less visible. We sit down, we map out this self-doubt spiral, and we completely reword it, we transform it. And then once this is in place, then we can start to build trust through awareness, through compassion, and then through repetition of everything. So we focus on the nervous system. That's a really big thing that we look at. We look at identity, and we look at reflection and embodiment of all the things that we've looked at together.
And I love the fact that you really focus on the nervous system. We've had a couple of previous podcast episodes with specialists around the nervous system. I think it's so important, isn't it? It's something that actually, I think, if you are not aware and focusing on your nervous system every single day, then that is 100% something that I'd highly recommend everyone doing, because again, it really grounds us and kind of really focuses on the root of who we are internally, doesn't it? So it's so
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah, definitely.
And this kind of links to, I suppose, what you've mentioned there, kind of limiting beliefs. I think limiting beliefs can show up, can't they? Specifically for anyone, I suppose, but for female entrepreneurs, for potentially our listeners to this podcast, who want to start and grow a business. How do they show up in your experience? How do these limiting beliefs show up?
Yeah, so they wake up first thing in the morning before they've even checked their phone, before they've got out of bed. There's these feelings that come up, and they think about their day and they think, okay, what do I need to do? I'm just not quite ready for it. I don't quite feel ready. Maybe I just need one more qualification. Maybe I'll just have a little look and see if there's something else I can learn before I step forward. Or other people are just doing so much better than me. Why do they seem to have everything in order? Why are their businesses so successful and I'm just barely ticking by every month? Or it could be to do with the prices that they're charging, and they think, oh, who am I to charge that price? There's somebody else in the coaching business and they're charging this amount and they're fully booked. But who am I? I don't have that experience. So I'm just going to keep small. I'm just going to keep my prices really low. And then the one that really stands out to me is I'm just going to wait until I feel a little bit more confident and then I'll do it. I'll give it another month and then I'll feel more confident. So what these feelings are actually, they're not weakness, which is one thing that my clients say to me. I just feel so weak, I shouldn't be having these thoughts. But it's your brain. It's not you. It's your brain is doing the one thing that it's designed to do, and that's to keep you safe.
Yeah.
So it's really doing its job. And there's one thing that I say is limiting beliefs can be likened to fear in sensible clothes.
Yeah.
But yeah, our brain is just doing its main job. It's trying to keep us safe. When we think about doing something new or something that we're not used to doing, it sends the fear signals and says, this isn't safe. So let's just stay where we are. Let's do the things that we've always done and we'll keep safe. But as we know, nothing ever exciting happens in that comfort zone.
Absolutely. We need to step out of it, don't we? Step out of
Mm.
our comfort zones, push ourselves and just believe, really do believe. And obviously, I suppose that links back to the nervous system work, the mindset work, all of the different things, and as part of your believe method as well. But sort of going back to the limiting beliefs, in your experience, what would you say is the biggest limiting belief or even internal block that stops
Mm.
women from creating, a business and a life that they genuinely love?
Mm. There's one that I see more than anything, which is really, it breaks my heart. And also because it's something that I used to believe truly, and that's self-abandonment. And it's really hard to see in women. They Women just don't trust their own voice. They don't trust their intuition. They're always asking others for permission, and for their opinions. They just don't trust their own feelings. So I think the biggest block isn't actually fear itself,
Mm.
but it's not trusting yourself enough to have your own back. You know what you want, you know how you want your business and your life to look, but it's not having that trust in yourself to go for it, just to be brave enough to take that step, that first little step that will give you the momentum then to build and to take the next step. But there's just such a barrier because they just don't believe in themselves enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Not having that belief in themselves and allowing that to be a barrier.
Mm.
And I know that the work that you do really does support women and entrepreneurs with kind of breaking through that barrier and really supporting them. So again, kind of linking back to your belief method, how does that support women in aligning who they are and with what they're building in their business? Because I'm assuming that really then helps to push through those limiting beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we look at is removing things that they think they should be doing. So, take away all the shoulds and designing a business that really fits them. Because let's face it, when we go into business, we do it because we want the freedom and we want all the benefits that come with it, choosing our own hours and
Yes.
working with clients that we really feel aligned with. And if we weren't doing that, then we might as well go out and just be employed. So we
Mhm.
need to remove, or we need to build a business that really fits them, because success doesn't have to mean self-betrayal. So we concentrate on what's important to them, their values, their energy. They might be in a certain season of their life. Definitely their nervous system. That's a huge thing that we look at. And we make sure that everything is in alignment. When we stop fighting our nervous system, as we're so used to doing, our alignment, everything is just, it flows more naturally. So everything just feels very natural and it flows.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Um, so in regards to confidence, then, I think confidence is often talked about, and I know that a lot of the work that you do all links to confidence, but it's not always embodied by people. I think it's talked about, but it's not always embodied. So, how do you help women then move from sort of knowing to actually living their confidence and really going for it?
So I always say to people that confidence is a feeling. It's as much as we think about it and we believe it in our brain, we feel it in our body physically. So what one of the tools that I use to help women is we look at confidence anchors. So
Mhm.
we look at before they're stepping into a situation that makes them feel anxious or makes them feel uneasy. It's looking at the confidence anchors that they can use and then repeating those over and over until the situation becomes more natural. I use something called a safety ladder as well. So we look at different rungs on the ladder. So we start off really small by using the safe rung. So it might be posting something, but without using your voice or a photo. It might just be written posts that feels really safe to them. And then we stretch them slightly, and then it might be your voice, just using your voice, not using your face or anything, or expressing an opinion that might be slightly pushing the boundaries, just something that still feels safe but slightly edgy. And then we look at something at the top rung, which is really making them feel excited but quite nervous. So going live or presenting themselves, and we just build up to it really, really gradually to make them to keep that sort of safety feeling present at all points. So this is a technique that I use with my clients. It just helps them to move from avoidance to action, but without the overwhelm.
Okay, amazing. And is there, for our listeners then, because I know that's sort of a technique that you use specifically for your clients, is there anything that you could offer our listeners that if they're sort of struggling with their confidence, is there anything that you could suggest to them that they could start with? Or is there a way that they could potentially apply this method themselves in one way?
Yeah, so I would say the very first thing to look at is awareness. That's the key. That's the sort of first step. Because when we're aware, when we notice where these feelings arrive, then we can sort of do something about it. One big thing that I always like to say to people is just something small that you can take on is, instead of asking yourself, what should I do?
Mm.
Ask yourself, what do I need? And then just sit with that feeling, because our body always has the answer. just sit quietly and think, what do I really need right now in this situation? What does my body need? And then just see what comes up from that. I think you don't need to start over with a brand new plan. You don't need to start from scratch again. You just need to start trusting in yourself. And by listening to your body and what it needs, that's really it tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, really tuning into your own, again, your inner self, your
Yeah.
body, and really understanding what it needs. I think that's great advice around this because again, I think it's so easy, isn't it, to force ourselves to do things when actually we need to sometimes just kind of take a pause, take a
Yeah.
breath, and go, right, what is right for me right now? What do I need to do? And that will all kind of equate and support us with confidence and self-belief anyway, right?
Yeah.
Um, Amazing. So how can then all of this sort of, concept around belief work and all of the amazing work that you do, how can that work impact decision making and visibility and even maybe taking bold action in business? Because I know our listeners are probably listening going, right, I'm ready. I'm ready to build confidence. I'm ready to hear more about this belief work, but actually how does it impact decision making, visibility, taking bold action in business?
Yeah. So without belief, we tend to be really indecisive. We tend to procrastinate a lot. So we just put off those decisions that we know we should be making and we hide. So we're never going to grow our business, unfortunately. But when we do have belief, we're able to make quicker, cleaner decisions about things. So we don't procrastinate as much. We explain ourselves less. So when we're talking about our offers, it's very clear and very concise rather than explaining why things are this and then justifying the price for everything. So when belief is present, action feels less dramatic. And I think that's something that we can all welcome because drama is difficult. So when things feel calmer, it just makes our lives feel much better.
Yeah, amazing. And then, and what shifts then do you see in people? So when they start operating from belief rather than sort of fear or self-doubt, are there any shifts that you see in women that you work with or sort of women that you again support in other ways?
Yeah, this is the most beautiful thing to witness, and it's my favorite part of my job by far. So their energy is the one thing, is the first thing that I see. So everything becomes calmer. When we're talking, their shoulders are dropped. They're no longer sat here and hunched up and feeling really anxious. They hold stronger boundaries. They're able to say no to things that aren't aligned with them. And they're just really brave. If people ask them, oh, I've seen your price advertised for this particular service. Would you accept a lower price? They're able to say no. And no is a full stop, is a full sentence. It doesn't need justifying. Overall, they stop trying to prove themselves to others and they begin to trust themselves. And it's just such a beautiful thing to witness. It's a real privilege to watch my clients to go through this transformation.
Oh, I bet it is. And actually, I really like that one that you said there in terms of they stop trying to prove themselves to one
Yeah.
another. Because I think it's all well and good believing in yourself, but actually, if you're always trying to convince or prove to other people, or sort of own your place in the online space, for example, or whatever, it sets us back. So I think it's really important to move away from that concept and again stay in your lane, right? Stay
Yeah,
focused in terms of what you want to achieve, which I think is so
absolutely.
important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any examples that you could share maybe in regards to how maybe one of your clients or someone that you've helped has used the believe method to kind of change their business or their life or feel, really empowered and lean into that self-belief?
Yeah, so I was working with a lady recently, and we had lots in common actually. She was a cake maker. She worked in sort of patisseries and beautiful
Oh, wow.
bakes. And yeah, she was really struggling with burnout. She used to price herself based on her local sort of competitors. She'd go onto her sort of Instagram and she'd see, okay, what's so and so down the road pricing their bakes at. And then she would price herself slightly lower. So she was always slightly less than the competition in the hope that customers would come to her and they would be more attracted by the sort of prices that she was offering. But her skill was so much better and she was so much more talented than the other people that she was comparing herself. But she just didn't believe it. And it was really sad to see. But she came to me because she was just physically and mentally exhausted. She was working every hour she could, but each month she wasn't able to reach her sort of financial goals. So we worked through the Believe method together. And by the end of the process, she was charging her worth. She was charging more than she ever thought she could before. And she had a diary full of customers, but she was working less hours. So she was able to set her boundaries or keep to her boundaries, work less hours and charge more. And she just messaged me the other day actually to say that she has just booked a family holiday this summer. It's the first holiday that they've had together as a family for 5 years. So she was so excited. And yeah, it was a wonderful thing to watch and to see the sort of where she started compared to where she was at the end of the program. It was a real privilege.
And such an incredible transformation. And like
Yeah.
you said, that end result. And I'm sure she's continuing on to kind of flourish and, continue to grow as an individual
Yeah.
as well, which is just amazing.
Yeah, it's really lovely to see.
Oh, that's fantastic. So for our listeners, there might be some people listening to this podcast episode now that might feel a bit stuck, a little bit uncertain, maybe even disconnected from their vision. Where should they start with their belief work? What advice could you give them?
So the first thing really that they need to look at is, or that would be really beneficial, is the actual awareness. So see where the feelings are arising from. So is it that you're going on social media and that you're seeing somebody in the same industry that's doing a similar sort of role to you? What feelings are those bringing up? And instead of asking, what should I be doing? Just sit with it and reframe it and think, what do I need? And just have a think and see what comes up with that. I'm a real big fan of journaling, so I like to sit down and see how I'm feeling about things and just write what comes into my brain. Because if you can just find sort of 5 minutes of quiet, it's amazing the things that you will write down, just by sort of sitting with your feelings and just seeing what comes out, because your body knows, your body is experiencing the emotions that you're going through, the feelings that you're having, and it will tell you if you just sort of sit with it and listen to what it's telling you.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for that advice for our listeners. And what would be your final piece of advice for our listeners today?
So yeah, final advice is it's a real simple one, but it's not easy. I would just remind you that you don't need permission from anybody else to start believing in yourself. And when you build success from self-trust, it always lasts longer.
Amazing piece of advice. Kerry, it's been an absolute pleasure. It really has. I've really enjoyed finding out more about your Believe method, and the work that you do, the incredible work that you do to support people with their own self-belief, with their confidence building, really tapping into the nervous system work, the mindset work, all the different things, the incredible, work that you do with your clients then, and obviously with fabulous women around the world. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you and connect with you?
So the best place to find me is Instagram. I'm on Instagram at Ceri Brown Confidence Coach. And there you can find out about the next round of Believe, which is happening in the next couple of weeks. I'm running a small challenge as well. And yeah, it'd be great to connect. But yeah, thank you so much for today, Kaylee. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you. And for those of you that are listening, go and connect with Kerry. She's incredible at what she does, and absolutely go and connect with her. Drop her a message, say hello, reach out to her if you are interested in her Believe method. It's been a pleasure, Dan. Thank you so, so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Thanks to everyone that's tuned in to today's episode. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And I'll see you all again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast with me, your host, Kaylee Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow, and scale your dream six-figure or multi-six-figure business, then head to our website now for more information or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.